Imagine you are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. It's the middle of the day, but you feel like the weight of the entire world is pressing down on you. Your body is exhausted, yet you haven't done anything. Your mind is filled with thoughts, yet none of them seem to make sense. You know you should get up, eat something, maybe talk to someone, but you just don't have the energy. It feels like you are trapped inside your own mind, and no one can truly understand what you are going through. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, nothing really changes? Like you are stuck in the same cycle of pain and emptiness? Why does it feel like happiness is so far away, while sadness clings to you like a shadow? And why does it seem like everyone else is moving forward in life, while you are barely holding on? Maybe you have tried to distract yourself, scrolling through your phone, watching videos, or listening to music, but the moment the distraction ends, the emptiness returns. Maybe you have thought, if only I had a better job, if only I had more friends, if only someone truly cared. But even when things improve, the sadness doesn't completely go away. Why? Think about this. If an empty glass is dirty, simply pouring clean water into it won't make it pure. The dirt will still be there, floating, mixing, polluting. The glass needs to be washed from within. This is exactly how the mind works. No matter how many external things we chase, if the suffering inside is not understood, true peace remains out of reach. Welcome to Wisdom Woven. Here, we explore deep insights that can transform the way you see yourself and the world around you. If you are struggling, know that you are not alone. In this video, we will walk through the wisdom of Buddhism, uncovering powerful truths that can bring light to even the darkest moments. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. So, please take a moment, like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your support helps bring these life-changing teachings to more people. And most importantly, drop your thoughts in the comments. Your words might inspire someone who is feeling lost right now. Depression is not just sadness. It is a deep suffering that can feel endless. But what if it isn't as permanent as it seems? What if the very nature of suffering holds the key to freedom? Buddhism has taught for centuries that pain is an unavoidable part of life, but it is not something we have to be trapped in forever. The mind, just like a turbulent ocean, can become still. The question is, how? One of the greatest misunderstandings about depression is the belief that it is purely emotional. In reality, it is deeply connected to our thoughts, our attachments, and the way we perceive ourselves. The Buddha himself went through suffering, just like every human being. He did not ignore pain or pretend it didn't exist. He faced it, understood it, and ultimately found a way beyond it. Through Buddhist wisdom, we will explore how suffering arises, why it feels so overwhelming, and how we can gradually loosen its grip on our hearts. This journey is not about ignoring pain, but understanding it in a way that allows true healing. Because the truth is, your suffering does not define you. The thoughts that weigh you down, the feelings that consume you, the memories that haunt you, they are not who you are. In the coming sections, we will uncover the deep causes of suffering, the role of impermanence, the power of mindfulness, and the wisdom that can help break the cycle of endless sadness. Each step will take us closer to understanding that even in the darkest moments, there is a light waiting to be found. Stay with us, because what comes next might change everything. The nature of suffering, why depression feels overwhelming. Sit down, take a deep breath, let go of everything for a moment. Now listen closely. You are suffering, and I see it. But do you truly understand why? Suffering is like a fog. It surrounds you, blinding you, making it hard to see the road ahead. You try to move forward, but the fog is thick, heavy, endless. You reach out, searching for something to hold on to, but all you find is emptiness. You wonder, why am I like this? Why does my heart feel so heavy? Will this ever end? And then, a thought appears. Maybe if I had something, more money, a better life, someone who truly understands me, maybe then this feeling would go away. But deep down, you know the truth. Even when good things come, the fog does not disappear. It only fades for a while, before creeping back in when you least expect it. This is suffering. It is not just sadness. It is not just loneliness. It is not just pain. It is something deeper, something that has been woven into your mind for a long, long time. And because you do not see where it comes from, it feels impossible to escape. But what if I told you that suffering has a nature, that it is not as mysterious as it seems, that just like everything else in life, it has a cause, a pattern, a way it moves? And if something has a nature, then it can be understood. And if it can be understood, then maybe, just maybe, it can also be changed. Depression does not come from nowhere. It is not a curse. It is not a punishment. It is a result of how we see the world, how we attach ourselves to things, how we try to control what cannot be controlled. Imagine holding onto a rope that is burning your hands, but refusing to let go because you fear what will happen if you do. This is how suffering works. The more we hold on, the more it burns us. But what happens if we loosen our grip? The Buddha did not say, "Do not suffer." He did not say, "Ignore your pain." He simply said, "Look at it. Understand it. Do not run from it." Because suffering is not the enemy. It is the teacher. It is showing you something that you have not yet seen. And if you can truly listen to it, without fear, without resistance, then something within you will begin to shift. Look at your sadness. Not with judgment, not with shame, but with curiosity. Where does it come from? Why does it feel so heavy? What is it trying to tell you? Ask these questions, but do not rush to answer them. Just let them sit within you, like seeds waiting to grow. Many people try to escape their pain by numbing it. They distract themselves, they push it away, they tell themselves, "It's not that bad." But ignoring suffering does not make it disappear. It only buries it deeper, where it grows in the darkness. The only way out is through. The only way to free yourself is to stop running and finally face what is inside. And here is the most important thing. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not less than anyone else. The fact that you feel this deeply means you are alive. It means you have a heart that is still beating, still searching, still hoping for something more. And that is not something to be ashamed of. That is something to honor. Suffering can feel overwhelming because we believe it is who we are. But that is a lie. You are not your sadness. You are not your mistakes. You are not the pain that weighs on your chest. You are something far greater, far deeper, far more powerful than any thought, any emotion, any past experience. But to see this, you must be willing to let go of who you think you are. You must be willing to see beyond the story your mind has created. And that is not easy. It takes patience. It takes courage. But you are already on the path. You are already taking the first steps. So breathe. Stay with me. We are just beginning. And what lies ahead is something more beautiful than you can imagine. Impermanence, the first key to emotional freedom. Sit down for a moment. Breathe. Listen. Everything around you is changing, even if you don't notice it. The wind moves the leaves, the clouds drift across the sky, and even the strongest mountains are being worn down by time. Nothing stays the same. Not the seasons, not the people around you, not even your own thoughts. Change is happening, whether we welcome it or not. Now, think about your pain, the sadness, the weight on your chest, the thoughts that keep circling in your mind. It feels endless, doesn't it? Like it will never leave, like this is just who you are now. But is that really true? Have you ever had a moment when, just for a second, you forgot your sadness? Maybe while listening to music, talking to a friend, or even watching the rain outside your window. For that brief moment, the heaviness lifted. This is proof. Proof that suffering is not a solid, unchanging thing. It comes and it goes, like waves in the ocean. Sometimes big, sometimes small, but never still. The problem is, we believe in our suffering too much. We think, this is me. This is how I will always feel. But feelings are like the weather. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The storm will pass. It always does. Look at your own life. Think about something that once made you happy, a favorite toy from childhood, a song you used to love, a place you used to visit. At that time, it felt so important, didn't it? But where is it now? The excitement faded, the feelings changed, and life moved on. This is the nature of all things, not just happiness, but also pain. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from attachment. We cling to things, people, feelings, and even our sadness. But how can you hold on to something that is always changing? It's like trying to catch the wind in your hands. The harder you grip, the more you suffer. The more you let go, the more peace you find. But letting go does not mean ignoring your pain. It means understanding it. When you feel sad, don't push it away. Sit with it. Observe it. Ask yourself, where did this feeling come from? What thought started it? Like a detective following clues, you will begin to see that every emotion has a cause. And when you see the cause, you can start to loosen its grip. Imagine you are holding a burning coal in your hand. It hurts, but you refuse to drop it. You think, this is my pain. I have to hold on to it. But why? The moment you let go, the pain starts to heal. The same is true for your suffering. Holding on to it does not make you stronger. Letting it go does not mean you are weak. It means you understand that pain is not meant to be carried forever. Look outside your window. If it is raining today, does that mean it will rain forever? No. The clouds will clear, the sun will shine, and then one day, the rain will return. Life is like this. Sadness comes and goes. Happiness comes and goes. Nothing is permanent. And that is why we can be free. If you are feeling lost right now, remember this. Nothing in this world stays the same. Not even your suffering. What feels unbearable today may feel lighter tomorrow. What seems impossible now may be just a memory in the future. You don't need to force yourself to be happy. You only need to remember that nothing is permanent, not even the pain you are feeling. So, the next time sadness rises in your heart, don't fight it. Don't fear it. Simply watch it, like watching clouds move across the sky. Know that it will pass. It always does. And in that understanding, you will begin to feel a freedom that no one can take away from you. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who carried a heavy sack everywhere he went. Day after day, he walked with it on his back, never setting it down. People asked him, "Why don't you let go of the sack?" He would reply, "I've carried it for so long, I don't know how to live without it." Even though it slowed him down, even though it made him tired, he held on. This is how most people live, with attachments that only bring suffering. They hold on to pain, memories, regrets, expectations, and fears. They refuse to let go, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they are afraid of what will happen if they release it. They believe that without these attachments, they will lose a part of themselves. But in truth, it is these attachments that weigh them down. Think about your own life. Have you ever felt like you are trapped in your own mind, repeating the same thoughts over and over? Maybe someone hurt you, and you keep replaying the moment in your head. Maybe you lost something precious, and the emptiness refuses to leave. Maybe you had a dream that didn't come true, and you wonder what could have been. The mind clings to these things, believing they are part of who you are. But they are not. They are just passing clouds in the vast sky of your existence. Imagine a rope tied around your wrist, pulling you in one direction. The more you resist, the more it cuts into your skin. This is what attachment does. It is not the rope that causes suffering. It is the unwillingness to let it go. We hold on because we believe we need certain things to be happy. But have you ever noticed that when you get what you want, happiness never lasts? A new relationship, a new job, a new achievement. It feels good for a while. Then the mind starts searching for the next thing. This is the cycle of attachment. Buddhism teaches that attachment is not love. It is not security. It is not joy. It is a craving, an illusion that keeps us from experiencing true peace. The more we cling, the more we suffer. And the most painful attachments are the ones we do not even realize we have. Have you ever noticed how we attach ourselves to identities? I am a failure. I am not good enough. I am unworthy of love. These are not truths. They are just thoughts, formed by past experiences, repeated so many times that they feel real. But just because a thought feels real does not mean it is true. A person who looks into a cracked mirror will see a distorted reflection. That does not mean their face is broken. The mind plays the same tricks. It convinces you that you are your suffering, when in reality, you are so much more than that. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending that pain never existed. It means seeing it for what it is, just a moment in time, something that came and something that will go. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you open your hand, the sand simply rests there. This is the difference between attachment and freedom. Ask yourself, what are you holding on to right now? A past mistake? Someone who left? An expectation that was never met? Whatever it is, ask yourself, is this helping me, or is this hurting me? If it is causing suffering, then it is time to loosen your grip. There was once a monk who carried a woman across a river. Hours later, his companion asked, "Why did you touch her?" "We are not supposed to." The monk replied, "I put her down at the riverbank." "Why are you still carrying her? How many things are you still carrying? How many burdens have you held for years, refusing to put them down?" The past cannot be changed. The future is not yet here. The only place where life happens is now. And in this moment, you have a choice, to carry your suffering or to release it. True peace is not found in holding on. It is found in letting go. The mind fears this because it wants control. It believes that without attachments, life will be empty. But emptiness is not a bad thing. The sky is empty, yet it holds the sun, the moon, and the stars. A cup is empty, yet it can be filled with anything. When the heart lets go, it makes space for peace, for love, for freedom. If you are in pain, if you are feeling lost, ask yourself, what am I clinging to? And then, in the silence of your own heart, remind yourself, you are not your suffering. You are not your past. You are not the thoughts that tell you otherwise. You are the awareness behind them. And when you finally let go, you will realize you were never truly trapped. The door was open all along. The power of mindfulness in breaking the cycle of negative thoughts. Sit down, just for a moment. No need to rush, no need to fight your thoughts. Just breathe. Feel the air entering your nose, filling your lungs, and then gently leaving your body. You have done this thousands of times without thinking, but now, pay attention. This breath is happening in this moment, right now. Not in the past, not in the future. Just now. When the mind is lost in depression, it is never in the present. It is either drowning in the past, revisiting old wounds, or lost in the future, fearing what is yet to come. But tell me, where's the past? Can you hold it? Can you touch it? And the future, does it exist anywhere outside of your thoughts? Yet, these two illusions hold you like chains, pulling you away from the only place where life truly happens, this moment. The mind is like a wild horse. If left untamed, it will run in all directions, dragging you with it, making you believe in every thought, every fear, every regret. But what if you could simply observe the mind instead of being controlled by it? What if you could see each thought come and go, like clouds passing in the sky? This is the essence of mindfulness, watching without being pulled in. You see, suffering does not come from thoughts alone, but from believing in them. A thought appears, I am not good enough. You accept it as truth, and suddenly, it becomes a weight on your chest. Another thought, no one cares about me. You hold on to it, and it becomes a wound that does not heal. But tell me, who decides whether these thoughts are true? Have you ever questioned them? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a river. Each thought is like a leaf floating on the water. Some leaves are dark, heavy with pain. Others are light, barely touching the surface. If you jump into the river, chasing each leaf, you will be carried away. But if you sit on the bank and watch, the leaves come and go on their own. This is what mindfulness teaches, not to fight thoughts, not to run from them, but to watch them pass without attachment. When you are trapped in depression, the mind is constantly talking. It whispers old mistakes, reminds you of painful moments, fills your heart with fear. But have you ever just listened? Have you ever sat still and simply noticed the voice inside? Who is speaking? And who is listening? If you can hear the voice, then you are not the voice. You are the awareness behind it. This awareness is your freedom. The moment you realize that you are not your thoughts, their power over you begins to fade. You don't have to silence them. You don't have to force yourself to think positively. You only need to see them for what they are, passing clouds in an open sky. The sky is never harmed by the clouds, just as your true self is never harmed by passing thoughts. In the depths of depression, the mind will tell you that things will never change, that this emptiness will last forever. But look back at your life. Has anything ever truly stayed the same? Even the heaviest storm eventually passes. Even the coldest winter makes way for spring. Nothing is permanent, not even suffering. Mindfulness is not a practice of escape. It does not promise that you will never feel pain again, but it teaches you to experience life without being consumed by it, to feel sadness without becoming sadness, to feel fear without becoming fear. Imagine carrying a cup of hot tea. If you grip it too tightly, you burn your hand. If you throw it away, you lose it. But if you simply hold it with awareness, you can drink it, taste it, and let it go when it's time. Right now, in this moment, you are alive. The past is gone. The future is unknown. But this breath, this second, this is real. And in this second, there is no suffering. There is only awareness. Depression may whisper that you are lost, but the truth is, you are here. And here is the only place you need to be. So the question is, will you continue chasing the thoughts, or will you simply watch them float away? Will you keep believing in the voice that hurts you, or will you sit quietly and let it speak until it fades into silence? The choice has always been yours. Sit down, take a breath, and listen carefully. You have been carrying your suffering for a long time. You have tried to run from it, bury it, ignore it, and even fight it. But no matter what you do, it lingers. It sits in the back of your mind, waiting for the quiet moments to whisper its presence. You ask yourself, why does this pain never leave me? Why does it feel like I will never be free? But let me tell you something, suffering is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. Right now, you may not believe this. You may feel that your pain is unfair, that it has robbed you of happiness, that it has broken something inside you. And perhaps, for a long time, you have been searching for a way to escape it. But what if I told you that true freedom does not come from escaping suffering, but from understanding it? You see, the problem is not just the pain itself, it is your resistance to it. It is the voice in your mind that says, I should not be feeling this way. It is the endless questioning, why me? Why is life so cruel? This resistance is what turns pain into suffering. Pain is a natural part of life. But suffering is the result of our mind clinging to that pain, refusing to accept it, trying to push it away. And yet, the more you push, the stronger it becomes. Think about a clenched fist. The harder you squeeze, the more tension builds in your hand. If you keep holding on, your fingers will ache, your palm will burn, your arm will tremble. But if you simply open your hand, the tension disappears. Your suffering works the same way. The more you resist it, the more it consumes you. But if you stop fighting, if you simply allow yourself to feel, to observe, to understand, then something incredible happens. The suffering begins to loosen its grip. Look at nature. A storm does not last forever. A river does not fight against the rocks in its path. It simply flows around them. A tree does not resist the wind. It bends and sways, yet it remains rooted in the earth. Nature does not resist what comes. It moves with it. It allows. It embraces. And in this acceptance, there is peace. So why do we humans fight against what is? Why do we resist the pain that is already here, instead of allowing it to teach us? You may think, but my suffering is too deep. My wounds are too painful. I understand. But tell me, if you break a bone, does it heal faster by pretending it isn't broken? No. Healing begins the moment you acknowledge the pain, the moment you allow yourself to see it clearly. The same is true for the mind. Running from suffering does not heal it. Facing it does. So sit with your pain. Do not judge it. Do not curse it. Do not wish it away. Just observe. Ask yourself, where is this suffering truly coming from? What is it trying to tell me? If you listen closely, you will realize something important. Much of your suffering is not in the present moment. It is in your memories of the past, your fears of the future, your regrets, your guilt, your longing for something different. But right now, in this very moment, what is here? Just you. Just your breath. Just this awareness. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath in. Hold it. Now exhale. Do this again and again. With each breath, let go of one small piece of resistance. With each breath, allow yourself to soften. Your pain is real, but it is not permanent. It is not you. It is a cloud passing through the sky, but you are the sky itself. The sky does not cling to the clouds. It allows them to come and go. So let your suffering come and go. Let it pass through you, without gripping it, without holding it too tightly. Because the truth is, you are not broken. You were never broken. You have simply forgotten your own strength. The Buddha once said, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. That path is before you now. It is not a path of running, not a path of escape. It is a path of deep understanding. The moment you stop resisting your suffering and begin to understand it, you take your first step toward freedom. So stand up. Walk forward. Your suffering is not a prison. It is a doorway. And on the other side, there is peace. The role of compassion, how self-kindness can heal depression. Sit down for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs, filling you with life. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly kind to yourself? Not just pretending, not just distracting, but genuinely offering yourself warmth, care, and patience? Most people in suffering do not lack kindness toward others. They care deeply. They listen to their friends, offer support, and try to be there when someone is in pain. But when it comes to themselves, they become their own harshest critic. I should be stronger. I am not good enough. I always make mistakes. What if I told you that this voice inside your head is not the truth? What if I told you that this voice is just a shadow of your past pain, not your real self? In Buddhism, there is a simple teaching. You cannot pour water from an empty cup. If your heart is filled only with self-judgment, how can you ever feel peace? How can you ever heal? The path forward is not in punishing yourself. It is in learning the art of self-compassion. Think of a small child, lost in the streets, crying because they don't know where to go. Imagine walking up to this child and saying, "You are so weak. You should know better. Why are you like this?" It sounds cruel, doesn't it? You would never speak that way to a child. And yet, this is exactly how many people talk to themselves every single day. Now imagine instead, you kneel down, gently place a hand on the child's shoulder, and say, "It's okay. You are lost, but you are not alone. I will help you find the way." Can you feel the difference? This is the compassion you need to give yourself. You see, depression does not just come from pain. It comes from resisting pain. It comes from believing that you should not feel the way you do, that you are broken because you are struggling. But the truth is, suffering is part of the human experience. Even the Buddha himself suffered before he awakened. He did not escape pain, he understood it. If you are feeling lost, do not fight yourself. Do not call yourself weak. Instead, take a moment to say, "I am hurting, and that's okay." This is not weakness. This is strength. The strength to be present with your own heart. The strength to be your own friend when the world feels distant. Many people think that self-compassion is just feeling sorry for yourself. But true compassion is not pity, it is care. If you had a friend who was suffering, you wouldn't just say, "It's fine, don't worry about it." You would sit with them. You would remind them that they matter. This is what you must learn to do for yourself. Do not rush healing. Do not demand that you get better by a certain time. That is not kindness. That is another form of self-punishment. Instead, meet yourself where you are. If today all you can do is breathe, then just breathe. If all you can do is get out of bed, then get up. If all you can do is take one small step forward, then take it. Healing does not come in grand moments. It comes in quiet choices. The choice to speak gently to yourself. The choice to rest when you are tired. The choice to forgive yourself for not being perfect. This is compassion. This is the key that unlocks the door to peace. So, whenever you hear that voice inside your head saying, "I am not enough," ask yourself, who is speaking? Is it truly you? Or is it just an old wound repeating itself? You are not your wounds. You are not your sadness. You are something deeper, something kinder, something infinite. Even the darkest night cannot last forever. Even the coldest winter must give way to spring. No matter how long you have suffered, no matter how heavy your heart feels, there is always a path forward. Not through self-hatred, not through force, but through the simple, quiet, powerful act of kindness toward yourself. Close your eyes. Place a hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your own body, the quiet beating of your own heart. You are here. You are alive. And that means, even in the depths of sorrow, there is still hope. Take one breath at a time. Take one step at a time. And no matter how slow the journey may seem, remember, you are walking toward peace. Silencing the inner critic with Buddhist meditation. Sit down, just for a moment. Close your eyes. Listen, not to the world outside, but to the voice within. What is it saying? Is it gentle, or is it harsh? Is it lifting you up, or is it tearing you down? That voice, the one whispering in your mind, shaping your thoughts, telling you who you are. That voice can feel like a judge, always watching, always criticizing. It tells you that you are not enough, that you have failed, that you are weak, that you will never escape this feeling. But is that voice really you? The mind is like a river. Thoughts flow endlessly, coming and going, twisting and turning. Sometimes the water is calm. Other times, it rages like a storm. But here is the mistake we all make. We believe we are the river. We think every thought, every emotion, every fear is the truth. We listen to that voice without question, as if it knows everything. But what if you are not the river? What if you are the sky above it, untouched, unshaken, watching as the water flows below? Buddhist meditation is not about stopping thoughts. It is not about fighting the mind or forcing silence. It is about stepping back, watching, seeing thoughts for what they are, just passing clouds. Some are dark, heavy with rain. Some are light, drifting without effort. But none of them stay forever. Not a single one. The inner critic thrives in stillness, but it cannot survive in awareness. When you observe a thought instead of believing it, something strange happens. It weakens. It loses its power. It becomes just another ripple in the river. Close your eyes again. Listen. A thought comes. I am not good enough. Let it be there. Don't argue. Don't resist. Just watch it. Where did it come from? Where is it going? Now, take a deep breath. Let the thought drift away, like a leaf floating down the stream. It is no longer you. If a stranger on the street told you that you are worthless, you would not believe them. You would not let their words define you. So why believe the voice in your mind when it says the same thing? The voice is not you. It is only a collection of past experiences, fears, and conditioning. It is a habit, nothing more. Meditation is the art of breaking that habit. Every time you sit in stillness, every time you watch a thought instead of becoming it, you reclaim your mind. You take back control. And slowly, the critic becomes quieter. Imagine a garden overgrown with weeds. If left unattended, the weeds spread, choking everything, leaving no space for beauty to grow. But if, each day, you remove just one weed, one negative thought, one harsh judgment, one moment of self-doubt, the garden begins to change. Bit by bit, space appears. Flowers bloom where there was once only darkness. Your mind is that garden. The inner critic is just a weed. And meditation is the simple act of pulling it out, one breath at a time. It will not happen in a day. The voice has lived in your mind for years. It will try to fight. It will try to make you believe it is real. But patience is stronger. Awareness is stronger. Every time you choose to observe instead of react, you win. And then, one day, something incredible happens. The voice speaks, and you no longer believe it. You hear it, but it is distant, like an echo. It no longer controls you. It no longer defines you. And in that silence, in that space where the critic once ruled, something else begins to rise. A voice that is softer. A voice that is kind. A voice that says, I am here. I am enough. And I always have been. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight in your chest, the heaviness of your thoughts. The mind whispers, what's the point? A quiet, endless echo in the vastness of your loneliness. Hopelessness is not loud. It is not an explosion. It is a slow sinking, like a boat taking on water. At first, you notice just a few drops. Then, before you understand what's happening, the waves are above your head. But listen carefully. The storm is not forever. Even the darkest night must surrender to the morning sun. This is the truth of the middle path, a wisdom so simple, yet so powerful that it can break the chains of despair. Depression pulls the mind to extremes. One moment, it convinces you that nothing will ever change. The next, it tells you that nothing matters at all. These are both illusions. The middle path teaches us that life is not just one thing. It is not only pain, and it is not only joy. It is both. It is change. It is movement. Even in this moment, as you feel lost, something within you is still reaching for the light. Imagine a tightrope walker. If they lean too far to one side, they fall. If they lean too far to the other, they fall. Their balance is their survival. Life is the same. When we cling too tightly to what we want or push too hard against what we don't want, we lose our footing. The key is neither resistance nor attachment. The key is balance. Hopelessness comes from a rigid mind, one that believes in only one possible outcome. But what if there is another way? What if you don't have to be trapped in this suffering forever? The Buddha taught that everything is impermanent. Your sadness is not an exception. It feels like it will last forever, but nothing does. The river never stops flowing. Take a deep breath. Not because it will fix everything, but because it reminds you that you are still here. And as long as you are here, the story is not over. Depression tells you to stop, to give up, to sink. But the middle path whispers, keep going. Just one more step. You do not have to see the entire road ahead. You do not need all the answers. You only need to take the next step. That is all. That is enough. When the Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, he did not find enlightenment in a sudden flash. He found it in stillness, in patience, in staying when his mind begged him to run. Right now, your mind may be screaming, telling you that hope is foolish, that change is impossible. But thoughts are not reality. They are just clouds passing through the sky. Do not believe everything they say. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who watches them come and go. Think of a candle in the darkness. The flame is small, but it is enough to break the night. In the same way, even the tiniest bit of hope is enough to fight despair. It does not have to be a roaring fire. It does not have to be certain. It only needs to be there. Even if you cannot see the way forward, you can trust that the path exists. The middle path is not about forcing happiness. It is not about pretending that pain does not exist. It is about seeing both joy and sorrow as part of the same journey. It is about understanding that just as the seasons change, so too does the heart. Winter does not last forever. So what is the next step? Maybe it is getting out of bed. Maybe it is opening the window. Maybe it is drinking a glass of water. It does not have to be big. It just has to be something. The middle path does not demand that you climb a mountain today. It only asks that you take one step. When the Buddha spoke of suffering, he did not say, avoid it. He did not say, drown in it. He said, understand it. And when you understand suffering, you see that it is not personal. It is not a punishment. It is part of being human. You are not broken. You are alive. You have made it to this moment. That means something. That means everything. The storm may rage. The night may be long, but dawn always comes. Keep walking. Keep breathing. Keep hoping. The middle path is waiting for you. Listen closely. You are not alone. You never were, and you never will be. But in the grip of suffering, the mind plays tricks. It tells you that no one understands. It convinces you that your pain is yours alone to bear. It builds walls around you, thick and cold, making the world seem distant. But those walls are illusions. They are not real. In Buddhism, we say suffering arises from separation from joy, from peace, from others. But what if I told you that healing is not meant to be done in isolation? The Buddha himself did not walk the path alone. He sought teachers. He had companions. He built a sangha, a community of seekers who walked together, supported one another, and shared their burdens. Why, then, should you carry yours alone? There is a silent battle happening in many minds. The battle of pretending to be fine while drowning inside. The battle of pushing people away while secretly hoping someone will stay. The battle of wanting to be heard, but fearing no one will listen. But the moment you let someone in, even just a little, the weight lessens. A burden shared is a burden halved. Somewhere in this world, there is someone who would understand. A friend, a teacher, a stranger with a kind heart. Maybe they don't have the answers. Maybe they don't need to. Sometimes, healing begins with a single moment of connection, a deep conversation, a shared silence, a warm hand on your shoulder. Sometimes, the simple act of being seen is enough to remind you that you exist beyond your suffering. The Buddha taught that the cause of suffering is attachment, not just to desires, but also to pain itself. Sometimes, we hold on to suffering because it has become familiar. We say, no one understands me. But do we allow them to? We say, no one cares. But have we reached out? The walls we build to protect ourselves can also become our prison. I know it is not easy. The mind whispers, you are a burden. It tells you, they will judge you. It makes you believe that no one will ever truly care. But these are just thoughts, fleeting as the clouds. They are not truth. The truth is, every human heart has suffered in some way. And every human heart, when given a chance, has the capacity to hold another's pain with gentleness. Even if words fail, even if explaining feels impossible, even if the sorrow is too deep to express, just being near others can begin to shift something inside. There is healing in shared laughter, in quiet company, in simply knowing you are not walking through the storm alone. In the darkest of times, the greatest temptation is to withdraw, to hide, to become silent. But silence does not always bring peace. Sometimes, it deepens the suffering. So take a step, a small one. Let someone in. Allow a voice other than your own to remind you that life is not just suffering, that there is warmth, kindness, and understanding waiting for you, if only you are willing to receive it. The Buddha once said, thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. In the same way, the love and kindness of others do not diminish when shared. A person who listens to your pain does not lose their own peace. Instead, they strengthen both yours and theirs. Do not fear reaching out. The world has more compassion than you think. It is easy to believe that people do not care. But the truth is, sometimes they just do not know how to show it. Not everyone has the right words. Not everyone will understand immediately. But there will always be those who are willing to try. Let them. Let people surprise you. Let kindness find its way to you in ways you never expected. Remember, the Buddha did not attain enlightenment in a single moment. It was a journey, and he did not walk it alone. He had teachers, friends, companions. So why should your journey be different? Why should you bear this weight in silence when there are hands willing to help carry it? Let go of the belief that you must be strong alone. Strength is not in isolation. Strength is in knowing when to lean on another. Strength is in allowing yourself to be vulnerable, in trusting that the universe has placed people in your path for a reason. There is a saying in Zen, a single thread of silk does not make a robe. In the same way, a single person, isolated, cannot weave a full and meaningful life. You are part of something greater, the web of existence, the interconnected whole. Your pain is not just yours to bear, and your healing is not just for you. It ripples outward, touching others, creating space for their healing as well. So do not close yourself off. Do not let the illusion of separateness consume you. Find your Sangha. It does not have to be many. Even one person who listens, who understands, can be enough. Even one connection can begin to dissolve the loneliness that suffering brings. Breathe. Look around. Somewhere, someone is waiting to walk beside you. They may not have all the answers. They may not have the perfect words, but they can offer something more important, presence. And in that presence, healing begins. Sit down, take a deep breath, and listen carefully. Imagine a vast ocean. When the wind is calm, the surface is still, like a mirror reflecting the sky. But when the storm arrives, the waves crash wildly, rising and falling without control. This is how the mind works. When emotions take over, we feel as if we are drowning in chaos, unable to find solid ground. But the truth is, beneath the surface, the ocean is always still. Deep down, the water remains undisturbed, peaceful. This depth, this stillness, it exists within you too. It is called equanimity. Equanimity is not indifference. It is not about ignoring pain or pretending that suffering does not exist. It is about seeing clearly, accepting fully, and responding wisely. It is the ability to face any situation, joy or sorrow, success or failure, love or loss, without being thrown off balance. Like the deep ocean, you remain steady, no matter how fierce the storm above. But right now, your mind may feel anything but steady. Perhaps you wake up each morning with a weight on your chest, unable to shake the thoughts that haunt you. Perhaps every little thing triggers frustration or sadness, and you wonder why life feels so unfair. You may feel trapped in a cycle of pain, reacting to every difficulty with anger, fear, or despair. But what if you could break free? What if no matter what happens, your heart remains at peace? To live with equanimity is to understand that nothing in this world is permanent. Whatever you are feeling right now, whether it is sadness, loneliness, or exhaustion, it will not last forever. Everything changes. The seasons shift, the tides rise and fall, the moon waxes and wanes. Even the darkest night eventually gives way to the dawn. This is the nature of life. The more you resist change, the more you suffer. But when you embrace it, you begin to flow with life instead of against it. Think of a tree standing tall in the wind. When the storm comes, it does not fight against the wind. It bends. It sways. It moves with the force of nature, but it does not break. It stands firm, rooted deep in the earth. This is how you must be. Flexible, but unshaken. Open to life, but not controlled by it. You might ask, but how? How do I reach this state? It begins with awareness. Right now, as you listen, take a moment to observe your own mind. What thoughts are moving through it? What emotions are stirring in your heart? Instead of judging them, simply notice them. See them as they are, temporary visitors passing through the house of your mind. You do not have to invite them to stay. There is a famous Zen story. A student asked his master, "How can I find peace?" The master smiled and said, "Let go." The student asked, "Let go of what?" The master replied, "Everything." Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you stop trying to control everything. Stop holding on to the past. Stop fearing the future. It means you trust that no matter what happens, you will be okay. Because deep within you, there is a place untouched by suffering. A place of stillness, of wisdom, of unshakable peace. Some will say, but life is unfair. People betray me, circumstances break me, nothing ever goes my way. Yes, life is unpredictable. Yes, people can be unkind. Yes, suffering exists. But do you know what else exists? Strength, resilience, the ability to rise again, the ability to choose how you respond. No one can take away your peace unless you hand it over to them. No situation can destroy you unless you let it. True strength is not about controlling life. It is about controlling how you meet life. It is about standing firm, breathing deeply, and saying, no matter what comes, I will remain steady. Equanimity is not something you get from the outside. No amount of wealth, no perfect relationship, no external success can give it to you. It is already within you. It has always been there. You only need to remember it. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. Breathe. Step back. Ask yourself, is this worth disturbing my peace? More often than not, the answer is no. More often than not, the storm is only on the surface, and you, my dear one, are the deep, still ocean beneath. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs, filling you with life. Now exhale. Let go of everything, just for this moment. No past, no future, only this breath. This is where your journey begins, and this is where it ends. Not in suffering, not in despair, but in peace. A peace that has always been within you, waiting to be remembered. You have walked a long path, my dear friend. Through darkness, through storms, through nights when the weight of the world felt unbearable. You have faced thoughts that whispered of hopelessness, emotions that felt too heavy to carry. But you are still here. That alone is proof of your strength. Proof that even in your worst moments, something within you refused to surrender. Something within you wanted to heal. Depression tells you that nothing will change, that you are stuck. But that is not the truth. The truth is, nothing ever stays the same. Just like a river that never holds its shape, just like the seasons that never remain, your pain too is impermanent. No matter how deep the darkness, the sun always rises again. This is not blind hope. This is reality. A reality that Buddhism teaches again and again. Nothing is fixed. No emotion, no suffering, no self. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not bound by your pain. You are as free as the sky, if only you let yourself see it. Perhaps, for too long, you have fought against your pain, trying to push it away, trying to erase it. But tell me, if you try to push the ocean back with your hands, will the waves stop? No, they will keep coming. The more you resist, the more exhausted you become. Instead, let the waves pass through you. Let them rise, let them fall. Observe them, but do not become them. This is the way of peace, not by force, but by surrendering to what is. You have believed in your thoughts for so long. I am not good enough. I am broken. I will never be happy. But are these thoughts true? Look at them as a Zen monk looks at a passing cloud. They come, they go. They are not you. They are not reality. They are merely echoes of your past, conditioned by pain. And like all echoes, they will fade if you stop answering them. If you stop feeding them with your belief. What if, instead of fighting your pain, you learn to sit with it? To treat it not as an enemy, but as a teacher? Every suffering carries a lesson. Every wound has something to say. Ask your pain, what do you want to teach me? Listen, truly listen, and you will hear. Maybe it is telling you to let go of a past that no longer serves you. Maybe it is guiding you towards a change you have been afraid to make. Maybe, just maybe, it is showing you that you are stronger than you ever thought. Healing does not happen in an instant. There is no magical cure, no single moment where everything suddenly becomes perfect. That is not how life works. But step by step, breath by breath, change happens. Every time you choose to get up, even when it feels impossible, you are healing. Every time you show kindness to yourself, even when your mind tells you that you don't deserve it, you are healing. Every time you allow yourself to be here, in this moment, instead of drowning in the past or fearing the future, you are healing. There is no need to rush. No need to force anything. A flower does not hurry to bloom. It simply unfolds when the time is right. And so will you. One day, you will wake up, and the weight will be lighter. The darkness will not seem so deep. You will smile without effort. and you will realize you made it through. Not because you fought, not because you struggled, but because you allowed yourself to heal. Look at yourself right now. You are not the same person who began this journey. You have grown, even if you do not see it. You have learned. You have faced yourself in ways many never dare to. That is courage. That is wisdom. And that is why I tell you now, you are ready. Ready to step into the life that has been waiting for you all along. Do not fear what is ahead. Walk forward with trust. There is no perfect path, no guaranteed happiness. There is only the present moment and what you choose to do with it. So choose peace. Choose kindness. Choose to embrace life, even when it feels uncertain. The Buddha once said, "No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path." But know this, you are not alone. The world is full of others walking this path, just like you. And together, we move forward. This is not the end. This is the beginning. A new chapter. A new way of seeing. A new way of being. Take a breath. Feel the life within you. Feel the peace that has always been there, waiting for you to remember. Now, open your eyes. The path is yours to walk. Walk it with courage. Walk it with love. And no matter what happens, always remember, peace is not found outside. It has been within you, all along. Close your eyes once more. Let the world around you fade into silence. Breathe in. Feel the air filling your lungs. Breathe out. Let go of every weight you have been carrying. Do you feel that? That moment between inhale and exhale? That space where nothing exists, yet everything is present? That is peace. It has never left you. It has only been hidden beneath the noise of your mind. And now, at this very moment, you are touching it again. For so long, you have believed that happiness is something far away, something you must chase, something you must earn. But happiness is not found in the future. It is not waiting for you at the end of suffering. It exists here, right now. It is in the warmth of the sun on your skin, in the whisper of the wind, in the feeling of your own breath, moving effortlessly, keeping you alive. If you cannot find peace in this moment, you will not find it anywhere else. The mind will always find a reason to be restless, always searching, always needing, always waiting for something more. But there is nothing more than this, nothing more than now. You have spent years trying to escape your pain, running from it, distracting yourself, numbing yourself. But the more you run, the stronger it becomes. Because suffering does not disappear when you ignore it. It waits, patiently, silently, until you finally turn and face it. That is the only way to be free, not by running, but by stopping, by standing still, by allowing yourself to feel fully without fear. Only then will you see that pain is not as terrifying as it seems. It is simply a wave, rising and falling, like every other experience in life. It comes, it goes, but it does not define you. The Buddha taught that all suffering comes from attachment. And what is depression, if not attachment to pain? To regret? To an idea of yourself that no longer serves you? You have built an identity around suffering, around unworthiness, around the belief that you are broken. But that is not who you are. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness behind them. The sky, not the storm. The ocean, not the waves. If you learn to sit in stillness and simply observe, you will see that nothing within you is permanent. Everything changes. Everything passes. And that means this will pass too. You may feel like you have lost yourself, like you do not recognize the person you have become. But the truth is, you were never lost. You have simply been buried under years of pain, fear, and self-doubt. Beneath all of that, you are still here, unchanged, untouched, as pure as the day you were born. And no matter how long it takes, no matter how much you have struggled, you can always return to yourself. You can always begin again. Because healing is not about going back to who you were. It is about becoming who you were meant to be. You have been waiting for someone to save you, waiting for the pain to disappear, waiting for a sign that things will get better. But the waiting must end. No one is coming to save you. No external force will take away your suffering. And that is not a reason for despair. It is a reason for hope. Because if no one else holds your happiness, that means you do. The power has always been yours. To heal, to grow, to choose a different path. The moment you stop waiting and start being, fully, completely, unapologetically, you will see that everything you needed was within you all along. There will be days when the darkness returns, when old thoughts creep back in, when sadness sits heavy in your chest. That is okay. Healing is not a straight line. It is a spiral. Some days, you will feel like you are moving backward, but you are not. Every experience, every emotion, every setback, it is all part of the process. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. Even in your lowest moments, you are growing. Even in your pain, there is wisdom. Trust that. Trust yourself. You may wonder, if everything is impermanent, then what is the point of anything? But do you see? That is why life is beautiful. Because nothing lasts forever. Because every moment is unique, precious, irreplaceable. The cherry blossoms bloom, not despite their short existence, but because of it. The sunrise is breathtaking, not because it stays, but because it fades. Life is not meant to be grasped. It is meant to be lived. Fully, deeply, with no fear of loss, no clinging to the past, no desperate need for certainty. Just presence. Just being. There is no final destination. No perfect state where you will be free from all suffering. But there is a way to live without being controlled by it. A way to carry pain lightly. A way to face hardship with a steady heart. That is what Buddhism teaches. Not how to avoid suffering, but how to transform it. How to hold it with compassion. How to let it soften you, rather than harden you. How to meet every experience, good or bad, with the same quiet knowing. This too shall pass. And when it does pass, when the weight finally lifts, you will look back and see that every moment of suffering was shaping you, strengthening you, leading you to this very point. The point where you can finally breathe, finally feel, finally live. Not as someone who is running from pain, but as someone who has made peace with it. Someone who has learned to walk through the fire without letting it burn them. So now, the choice is yours. Will you continue searching for peace outside yourself? Or will you realize that it was never missing? That it was simply waiting for you to return? To stop looking? To stop running? To simply be? Breathe in. Feel the life within you. Breathe out. Let go of everything that no longer serves you. Open your eyes. The path is yours to walk. And now, finally, you are ready.